The president and his team are questioning the timing of the new Epstein emails that were released earlier today by Democrats. Senior White House correspondent Peter Doocy has that part of the story for us tonight. Good evening, Peter.
Good evening, John. Officials here are claiming that if congressional Democrats really cared about advocating for Jeffrey Epstein's victims, then we would have heard a lot more from congressional Democrats about Jeffrey Epstein during the 4 years that Joe Biden was president. And instead, we are seeing these big leaks like the one today, selectively, according to the White House, that claims that Donald Trump knew in 2011 about Epstein's crimes.
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong.
The president himself muses the Democrats are trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again because they'll do anything at all to deflect on how badly they've done on the shutdown and so many other subjects. Only a very bad or stupid Republican would fall into that trap.
When Joe Biden was sitting in there, the Democrats never brought this up. This wasn't an issue that they cared about because they actually don't care about the victims in these cases. They care about trying to score political points against President Trump.
White House officials would much rather talk about their hope that the House will soon vote to reopen the government.
There are no coincidences in Washington, D.C., and it is not a coincidence that the Democrats leaked these emails to the fake news this morning ahead of Republicans reopening the government.
Coming out of the shutdown, President Trump's approval on the economy in an AP poll is 33%. But the Treasury Secretary urges Americans worried about affordability to be patient.
There is the inflation line. We've got that under control. It's leveled out. That is going to start turning down. Then there's the income line. I would expect in the first quarter, second quarter of next year, those two lines are going to cross, and the American people are going to start feeling better.
The new AP poll finds the president with a 34% approval on health care, the very issue the Democrats held on to at the start of the shutdown. But negotiations about next steps for Obamacare subsidies haven't yet been scheduled.
You can't trust the same people who broke the system to fix it, and so the American people will continue to hear from the president on this issue.
Tonight, President Trump is going to host a late dinner with some Wall Street bigwigs, including the CEOs of J.P. Morgan and Morgan Stanley and BlackRock, as officials here try to steer the national conversation back towards the economy. John.
Wouldn't that be a good thing? Get off the shutdown and back to things that people really care about. Peter Doocy for us at the White House. Peter, thank you.
That they should be allowed to withhold food stamp funding that Congress lawfully approved. They were ordered by 3 separate courts to distribute food assistance and are still fighting to withhold it.
The debate starting on the House floor over the continuing resolution to reopen the government. Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro making some points there about SNAP benefits. Let's bring in our panel for more on all of this. Fox News contributor Molly Hemingway, Democratic strategist Megan Hayes, and Fox News contributor Mark Thiessen. So as we head toward what is expected to be a positive vote on reopening the government, and we look forward to that, we're left to wonder where the Democratic Party sits right now. Here's what Political Playbook said. The fault lines facing both parties. Tales of Democratic disarray are hardly new, of course, but have amped up dramatically since Sunday night's Senate cave-in. And it's rough out there. We're seeing new levels of vitriol from the party's already fractious progressive base towards its moderately minded establishment. Importantly, that same anger is being voiced by ambitious centrist Democrats eager to jump aboard the populist train. You've got a divide that's becoming a chasm here, Megan.
I just see this a little bit differently. The Democrats in the Senate didn't have any leverage if they waited till the end of the year. Their only leverage was health care, so they needed to get a vote for health care, and that's what they got. They also got RIFT employees to be reestablished into the government. They got back pay for them, and they also got this vote on health care. So they did what they needed to do, and it's unfortunate that we are going to turn against each other, but the 8 senators who voted...
It's unfortunate we're going to have a circular firing squad, but
they didn't have any leverage. So this is what they needed to do. We're going to open back up the government, and we can have it. We can start working on a solution towards health care.
Where do you think this is headed, Molly?
Well, you know, I do think that the shutdown, if it had any logic, I mean, people are talking about this as being the most pointless shutdown that we've ever experienced in our country. But if it was designed to achieve electoral wins, to mobilize the base, to get them angry, like it served its purpose. And now we're entering into the area where people are starting to feel a lot of anger about the shutdown. It's disrupting people's lives. And so it needs to just be done. But once it's done, people forget shutdowns pretty quickly. We've gone through them before. And so it gives Democrats enough time to regroup and
People forget shutdowns, but the left wing of the Democratic Party doesn't forget what the leadership did. They think that they sold out because I don't think that those 8 Democrats and independents voted for the CR without Chuck Schumer at least giving them a little bit of a nod. And now they want him gone.
But this is the second time it's happened. I mean, he did this in 2019 when he shut down the government over DACA and also got nothing. So this is, he's run into this cul-de-sac twice already. So the outcome is pretty much the same, and he seemed to survive as leader after that.
All right, and it was just such a coincidence this morning that as the House was about to reconvene to take these votes, that Democrats released some emails from Jeffrey Epstein that apparently, according to the emails, tied Donald Trump more closely to Jeffrey Epstein. Donald Trump said this: the Democrats are trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again because they'll do anything at all to deflect on how badly they've done the shutdown and so many other subjects. Only a very bad or stupid Republican would fall into that trap. One of the emails said this: I want you to realize, this is from Jeffrey Epstein, that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim, name redacted, spent hours at my house with him. He has never been once mentioned. Police chief, etc. I'm 75% there. Turns out the victim was Virginia Giuffre, who in her testimony basically said Donald Trump didn't do anything wrong. So why are the Democrats doing this, Megan?
I mean, this was going to come out regardless if it was this morning's emails or the...
You're saying it wasn't targeted?
I don't think it's targeted. I mean, they were going to do the discharge papers today anyway. So this was never going to go away. This is not going to go away. I don't understand why every single person, Democrat or Republican, does not want these files released. We are protecting pedophiles. These campaign ads are going to write themselves against anybody who votes not to have these released.
You know, Michael Wolff, the author, also apparently was counseling Jeffrey Epstein in one email saying of Donald Trump, I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the House, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Why is Michael Wolff counseling Jeffrey Epstein on how to hang Donald Trump out to dry?
Yeah, that's what I thought was so interesting in these emails, was that there were many journalists who were coaching Jeffrey Epstein and how to handle things, which is just a weird thing to see anybody doing, much less a journalist. But back to the original point, like that this is even a story today is something of a scandal, meaning Democrats, they went out of their way to obstruct the name of the individual in question to make it seem like Donald Trump might have some secret here that needs to be exposed. And the reason why they obstructed the name is because Virginia Giuffre, the victim of Epstein, had publicly and repeatedly said that Donald Trump had never witnessed or participated in any bad activity. So this is just hard to take people seriously that they actually care about this. There are multiple people who have relationships with Epstein. Reid Hoffman, a Democrat super donor, had a very lengthy and sustained and intimate relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. It would be interesting to know more about that. Bill Clinton, former president of the United States, had a relationship. We even have, Ehud Barak had a relationship. Like, these are interesting things, but when you make it just about Donald Trump, when we already know about it, and we already know that they had a falling out because of how Epstein was handling the situation at Mar-a-Lago, that he got kicked out. It's just, I agree there's like stuff to know, but it's not being handled in any way responsibly here.
Molly, just for the record, I'm sorry, I agree. Democrats or Republicans, I don't care who you are in these files. It needs to be out there. Whatever their relationship was, I have no qualms about the Democrats also being released.
Well, with Adelina Grijalva now being the 218th vote, it looks like we're going to see a lot more. But I just want to go back to what Virginia Giuffre said about Donald Trump. This was from January 2016. She said, quote, I don't think Donald Trump participated in anything. I never saw or witnessed Donald Trump participate in those acts, but he was in the house of Jeffrey Epstein. I've heard he has been, but I haven't seen him myself, so I don't know. So what about this email that says, oh, we spent hours with her? And why would the name be redacted when this was already out there about Virginia Giuffre?
It's a nothing burger. And I agree with you that we should know everything. We actually should have known everything during the 4 years that the Biden administration was in charge and had access to all of this information and could have released it. And if there was anything incriminating about Donald Trump, we would know it already, because everything they possibly could throw at him, they threw at him in the last few years. And it's discrediting actually the proper investigation of Epstein's crimes to use it as a political tool to destroy Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean,
I think this should be, the focus should be on the victims of a pedophile, not on trying to bring down a president.
I mean, it is more than curious that they redacted the name knowing full well that everything that was known about her was already out there.
Caroline Leavitt fielded questions about the release of those emails from House Democrats related to President Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, calling it a manufactured hoax. That was moments ago at the White House. Our senior White House correspondent Peter Doocy was in that briefing and joins us now. Hi, Peter.
And Sandra, the argument from officials here that was made by Caroline Leavitt in the briefing room a few minutes ago is that there's a tell that shows that these Epstein emails being released today is a partisan exercise by congressional Democrats. This is how she came to that conclusion.
There are no coincidences in Washington, D.C., and it is not a coincidence that the Democrats leaked these emails to the fake news this morning ahead of Republicans reopening the government. This is another distraction campaign by the Democrat and the liberal media, and it's why I'm being asked questions about Epstein instead of the government reopening because of Republicans.
And just a few minutes after Caroline Leavitt went back into her office in upper press, President Trump posted this on Truth Social. He said the Democrats are trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again because they'll do anything at all to deflect on how badly they've done on the shutdown and so many other subjects. Only a very bad or stupid Republican would fall into that trap. He goes on, there should be no deflections to Epstein or anything else, and any Republicans involved should be focused only on opening up our country. The White House also argued that they have been extremely transparent when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, asking the Justice Department to release grand jury information, for example, something that a judge ultimately said couldn't be done right now. Sandra.
All right, that's the update from the White House. Peter Doocy, thank you.
More, by the way, from Capitol Hill today. House Democrats releasing new Epstein emails, some of them referencing President Trump. The White House is pushing back on those emails and how the media is portraying them. Fox News senior White House correspondent Peter Doocy has the latest. Peter.
And, Will, officials here at the Trump White House, of course, would rather talk about their efforts to get the government reopened, something they hope happens later on today. But instead of just talking about that, they are also talking about these newly released emails, including this one from 2011. It is Jeffrey Epstein emailing his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. This one says, I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim, redacted name, spent hours at my house with him, has never once been mentioned. Officials here, though, are puzzled about why Democrats redacted the name of a victim, since that victim wrote a whole book about all this.
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. And what President Trump has always said is that he was from Palm Beach, and so was Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a member at Mar-a-Lago until President Trump kicked him out because Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and he was a creep. And this email you refer to with the name of a victim that was unredacted now and has since been reported on in this room, so I will go ahead and say it, Virginia Giuffre. And it was CBS's own reporting, Ouija, that recently wrote that Miss Giuffre maintained, and God rest her soul, that she maintained that there was nothing inappropriate she ever witnessed, that President Trump was always extremely professional and friendly to her.
House Oversight Republicans are saying Democrats continue to carelessly cherry-pick documents to generate clickbait that is not grounded in the facts. The Epstein estate has produced over 20,000 pages of documents on Thursday, yet Democrats are once again intentionally withholding records that name Democrat officials. Democrats should stop politicizing this investigation and focus on delivering transparency, accountability, and justice for survivors. And officials here basically believe that the biggest tell that all of this is politics as usual from congressional Democrats, as opposed to an effort by Democrats to get justice for Epstein victims, is that congressional Democrats lost all interest in this during the Biden administration, and that is indisputable. Will.
That is indisputable, as is the name Virginia Giuffre, who specifically contradicted what is suggested today by the press and by Democrats from these emails. I do think, Peter, the other big takeaway is the emails between Jeffrey Epstein and journalist Michael Wolff, who seemed to be coaching Epstein through this entire enterprise on how to blackmail President Trump.
If not coaching, then at a minimum advising. And to the point that the White House is making here about the lack of interest that congressional Democrats had during the Biden years, the folks who are on the Democratic side who say now that it is an urgent national security issue to get these Epstein documents out lost 4 years worth of momentum. And now they are back. The White House thinks the timing of everything is suspicious, and basically that they are just these House Democrats are sitting on different things to selectively leak on days that the news might be bad for them, like the day that a shutdown comes to an end. So we'll see how it plays out.
All right. Thank you, Peter Doocy.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.